Jai Hind everyone. Again I welcome you all to the course of Basic Electrical Engineering. So in this course right now I am delivering the lecture series on the second unit, that is related to steady state analysis of AC circuit. So in the first lecture I have covered the AC fundamentals, in which we have discussed the definition of AC. Then we have discussed what are the advantages of AC over DC. Then we discussed why sine wave form is used, and what are the various ways by which we can represent the AC quantity. So in continuation to that, in the today's lecture I will cover the following points, that is, first, definition of phase and phase difference, then phasor representation of sinusoidal quantities, addition of alternating quantities, AC circuit consisting of resistance only, that is called purely resistive circuit, then AC circuit containing inductance only, that is called purely inductive circuit, and AC circuit containing capacitance only, that is called purely capacitive circuit. So now I will start with the first topic, that is phase. Now we know that this alternating AC voltage waveform, as you can see in the figure, it is a periodic waveform. So we will define a phase for this alternating quantity. So phase of a particular value of an alternating quantity is the fractional part of the time or cycle through which the quantity has advanced from its selected 0 position of reference. So as you can see here, if we start it from the origin, then the phase for the positive peak, that is plus Vm, that will be equal to T by 4, where capital T, it is the time period of this particular waveform. Similarly, the negative peak, it is occurring at this 3 T by 4. So that will be the phase for this particular alternating quantity. So that means it is the fractional part of the time by which this waveform, it has advanced from its 0 position of reference. Now next is phase difference. So phase difference is a very important term that we generally use in the numerical problems also. So first let us understand the definition of this phase difference. When two alternating quantities of the same frequency. So this word same frequency is very important, because if you have two quantities, suppose voltage and current, but they are having different frequencies, then we cannot find out the phase difference. So when two alternating quantities, suppose one voltage and second current, as you can see in the figure also, of the same frequency have different 0 crossing points, then they are said to have a phase difference. So this particular phase difference, it is denoted by phi. Now again in this figure you can see we have taken the voltage at reference. So it is starting from origin, and this current, it is starting from instant A. So as both of them, they have different 0 crossing points, that's why we can say there is a phase difference between these two alternating quantities. Now next is phasor representation of a sinusoidal quantities. So for simplification of AC problems, we generally prefer to convert an alternating quantity waveform into a line. That is very easy way for representing any sinusoidal waveform. So as you can see here, this alternating current waveform that is shown in the figure, it can be represented this simple line that is shown as OP. So we have certain set of condition that should be satisfied if we want to represent this alternating quantity by this simple line of definite length. So first I will cover all these three necessary conditions for this. So a straight line can be called a phasor if it satisfies the following conditions. So the first condition is that the length of the phasor is equal to the amplitude of the waveform. So as you can see here, the amplitude of this particular waveform, it will be represented by Im, because in the earlier lecture we have seen an alternating current waveform, it can be represented by I equal to Im sin omega t, where small I is the instantaneous value and Im is the amplitude of this waveform. So, the length of this particular line, as it is shown in the figure, it is equal to OP, and this should be equal to the amplitude of the waveform. So, this is the first condition. Second, the length is this line is rotating at such an angular velocity that it completes one rotation when the waveform completes one cycle. So, during my complete discussion, I will consider the rotation of this particular phasor in the anti-clockwise direction. So, as you can see here, this particular line, it is rotating at a constant angular velocity omega. So, when this particular line, it will complete one rotation, by the same time this waveform will complete one cycle. So, if this is the case, so the second condition is verified. The third is the line is placed at the horizontal position, that means x axis, when the alternating quantity is at origin. So, in this case again you can see here, when this particular line OP, it is at the horizontal axis, that is x axis. So, that is the starting point for the alternating waveform. So, the alternating waveform will be at origin when this particular line OP, it is resting on the x axis. So, if all the three conditions are satisfied, then we can say this particular line OP, it is represented this alternating current quantity. Now, here you can see it is written that OM equal to OP sin theta. Now, we have taken the projection of this OP line on the y axis, that is the vertical axis. So, OM is the projection of this OP at any instant when this particular phasor have moved by angle theta. So, you can see here this particular OM, it will give the instantaneous value of current. That is why OM is equal to OP sin theta. So, you can see here this will be again equal to the equation of current, that is small I equal to Im sin omega t. That is why we can represent this alternating current waveform with the help of this phasor. Now, next thing is how to add these alternating quantities. So, if we want to add, suppose two voltage phasors or two current phasors, so we can use this particular method. But again it is very important, as it is written here, we should not add one voltage phasor to a current phasor. Okay. So, voltage phasor can be added to the second voltage phasor, okay, and similarly current phasor can be added to the second current phasor only. So, addition of alternating current or voltages can be accomplished by any of the following method. So, first method is called parallelogram method and second is called method of components. So, as you have studied this parallelogram method in the school also, so in this particular method, addition of two phasors can be done at a time. The two phasors are represented in magnitude and direction by the adjacent side of the parallelogram. Then the diagonal of the parallelogram represents the maximum value of the resultant. So, to understand this method, let us take one example. Suppose we have two alternating current I1 and I2. So, I1 it is represented by Im1 sin omega t. So, Im1 it is the maximum value of this current, and as you can see here it is resting on the horizontal axis. Similarly, I2 it is equal to Im2 sin omega t plus theta. So, here you can see this particular Im2 it is the maximum value of this second current, and this particular phasor it is shifted by an angle theta. So, if we represent these particular two alternating current quantities in the phasor form, so you can see here this OA that will represent this first current, that is IM1, and OB it will represent the second current, that is IM2. Now, how to solve this problem using the parallelogram method? So, you can see here that we will draw two parallel lines. So, one parallel line, it is drawn in parallel with this OA. So, that particular line is this BC line, and similarly the second line, it is drawn parallel to this OB. So, that is the line AC. So, the resultant of these two lines, it is called IR, that is the resultant current. Now, to solve this problem, again we will take the help of Pythagoras theorem. So, in this you can see here this OC, it is the first line, OD it is the base, CD it is the perpendicular. So, OC will be the hypotenuse. So, using the Pythagoras theorem, we can write down OC equal to under root OD square plus CD square. Now, OD is the horizontal component. So, we have to take the horizontal component of both the first current and the second current. So, as you can see here, IM it is resting on the x axis, that is why the horizontal component of the first current, it will be IM1 only. And in this case, the for IM2, you can see here the horizontal component, it will be equal to IM2 cos theta. So, that will be the horizontal component of this second current IM2. Similarly, the vertical component, it will be, now as you can see here, the theta for the first current, it is equal to 0. So, sin theta will be equal to 0 for IM1. So, it will be equal to 0. So, we have not written IM1 because it is equal to 0. So, only we have the second current IM2. So, the vertical projection of this IM2 will be equal to IM2 sin theta. So, you can see here we have rectangular component for this horizontal component as well as the vertical component. So, if we solve this, we will get the resultant equal to under root IM1 square plus IM2 square plus 2 IM1 IM2 cos theta. So, this will give us the magnitude of the resultant current. Similarly, if we want to find the phase angle phi, so we know that in this particular case tan phi will be equal to perpendicular upon base. So, perpendicular is CD and base is OD. So, using this expression we can find out the phase angle. Hence, we can write down the resultant of this particular voltage in the expression form, that will be equal to small I r, that is the instantaneous value, equal to I r sin omega t plus phi, where I r is the maximum value of the resultant current and phi is the phase angle. So, this is the first method by which we can add two AC quantities. Now, the second method, it is called the method of components. So, as the name suggests, in this method we will resolve these two particular phasor into horizontal axis and vertical axis. So, the horizontal axis component, it will be called as x component, and the vertical component axis, it will be called as y component. So, the phase angle can be found out using tan phi equal to y by x. So, first let us see how to find out the horizontal component. So, the horizontal component for again this first current, it will be IM1 and the second one IM2 cos theta. So, this will be the horizontal component. Similarly, the perpendicular component will be for the first current, it will be equal to 0 because theta is equal to 0. So, the sine component for first current, that will be equal to 0, and for the second current, the horizontal vertical component will be equal to IM2 sin theta. So, the resultant of this will be again in the same form as we have discussed in the parallelogram method. But the advantage of this method is that in this particular case, suppose if you have 3, 4, 5 phasors, so all these particular phasors, they can be resolved into 2 components directly. So, the first method, parallelogram method, it has a limitation that it can add at only 2 phasor at a time. But in this method of components, as many as phasors, you can resolve them into horizontal component and vertical component and find out the resultant current directly. So, mostly this method of components is more preferred as compared to the parallelogram method. So, again if you look at the last line, so the equation remain the same, the resultant current expression will be I r equal to I r sin omega t plus phi. But the only thing is that in the parallelogram method, it has a limitation that only 2 phasors can be added at a time. That particular limitation can be overcome using this method of components. Now, let us try to solve one problem related to this using this method of component. Now, in this case we have 4 alternating voltage. So, it is first one is V 1 equal to 50 sin omega t, V 2 25 sin omega t plus 60, V 3 40 cos omega t and V 4 equal to 30 sin omega t minus 45 degree. So, we have to calculate the supply voltage and write it in the expression form. So, again we will take the help of method of components. So, first we will resolve all of them into the horizontal component and vertical components. So, as you can see here, V 1, V 2 and V 4, they are already in the sine form. The only V 3 phasor, it is in the cosine form. So, again using this relationship that cos omega t equal to sin omega t plus 90 degree, again first we will convert this quantity into sine form. So, now we have all the 4 quantities in the sine form. Now, we can resolve all these particular 4 quantities into horizontal component and vertical component. So, again you can see in the horizontal component all these quantities that are written in the cosine form. For first is 50 cos 0, second 25 cos 60 degree, third 40 cos 90 degree and fourth 30 cos 45 degree. Similarly, for the y component, it will be 50 sin 0, 25 sin 60, 40 sin 90 minus 30 45 degree. So, this is already taught to you in the school. We have used the simple trigonometry here. Now, we have resolved this x and y components. So, we know that the resultant will be the phasor sum of these two. So, this OC will be equal to under root x square plus y square. So, x comes out to be equal to 83.71 and y comes out to be equal to 40.4. So, finding out the resultant, we got the value as 93 volt and the phase angle using tan phi equal to y by x, we are getting the phase angle equal to 25.8 degree. So, hence we have calculated the supply voltage for these particular 4 quantities that are connected in series. Now, coming to the AC circuit analysis. So, in AC circuit analysis, first we will consider all the 3 elements R, L and C one at a time, and then we will see the combination of these elements, that is RL, RC and RLC. So, I will start my discussion with this AC circuit consisting of resistance only, that is called purely resistive circuit. Now, we know that we can take any example of tungsten bulb. So, that will be considered as a purely resistive circuit. So, in that particular case, this AC, if it is supplied to this particular resistance, okay. So, in that particular case, the current that will be flowing in this, it will be equal to V by R. Now, here the value of V, that is equal to Vm sin omega t. So, I have simply replaced this small v by Vm sin omega t. Now, when this particular omega t will be equal to 90 degree, that means the value of sine quantity it will be equal to 1. So, that will be the maximum value of the current. So, I m will be equal to V by R. So, if I replace this I m equal to V m by R in the above expression, that is expression number 2. So, I will get the third expression. So, it will be I equal to I m sin omega t. That means, we can conclude that for purely resistive circuit, voltage and current they are in the same phase. Now, coming to the power expression, now we know that power it is the instantaneous product of voltage and current. So, you can see here I have drawn the voltage and current waveform. Now, both are in the same phase, that means they have the 0 crossing points, that both of them they have the same 0 crossing points. So, if I find out the power, so power is instantaneous product. So, it will be P equal to V into I, and we know that V is equal to V m sin omega t, and I that we have just derived it is I m sin omega t. So, again this will become V m I m sin square omega t. Now, sin square omega t we know it is 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. So, if I open the bracket, I will get two terms V m I m by 2 and second V m I m by 2 cos 2 omega t. So, if I solve this, we know that power as it is a scalar quantity, so it is considered over a complete cycle. So, if I integrate it for over a complete cycle, the second component that will be V m I m by 2 cos omega t, that will come out to be equal to 0. So, that means the average value of the first term it will be equal to this V m I m by 2, and again we can rewrite it as V m by root 2 and I m by root 2. So, we know that this is a sine quantity. So, what is the relationship between RMS value and the maximum value? RMS value is equal to V m by root 2, that we have proved in the previous lecture. Similarly, I RMS will be equal to I m by root 2. So, you can see here the expression for power in case of purely resistive circuit, it will be the product of V RMS into I RMS. In this case, we generally consider power as V I cos phi, but as you can see here again the phase angle is equal to 0. So, cos 0 will be equal to 1, that means again we will get the expression for power as V into I, and the units will be watt. Now, let us try to solve one numerical for this. An AC circuit consists of pure resistance of 10 ohm and is connected across AC supply of 230 volt 50 hertz. Calculate current, power consumed, equation for voltage and current. So, we know that I is equal to V by R in case of purely resistive circuit. So, it comes out to be equal to 23 ampere. Power is equal to V into I. So, it comes out to be equal to 5290 watt. Similarly, for finding out the expressions, we need the maximum values. So, we got this 230 as the RMS value. So, first we will convert it into maximum value. Again we will use the relationship V m is equal to root 2 times V RMS. So, it comes out to be equal to 325.27. Similarly, maximum current it is 35.52. So, simply put these particular values in the standard expression, that is V equal to V m sin omega t and I equal to I m sin omega t. So, we got these two expressions for voltage and current. Now, coming to the next one, that is called AC circuit containing purely inductance only. So, it is also called a purely inductive circuit. So, in this case again we will apply AC voltage to a inductor. So, we know that in case of an inductor, the EMF induced in the inductor it will be minus L di by dt, and this EMF induced in the inductor it will again oppose the supply voltage V. So, that means V will be equal to L di by dt. So, if we solve this particular expression, so di will be equal to V m by L sin omega t by dt, and if we integrate both the sides, we will get the expression as I equal to Vm by omega L sin omega t minus pi by 2. So, let this be the expression number 2. Now, there is a very important observation from this expression, that in case of purely inductive circuit, current lags the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. So, as you can see in the above figure, we have drawn the phasor diagram for this, where the current, it is lagging the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. Now, considering the power, so again power is the instantaneous product of voltage and current. So, voltage remains the same, Vm sin omega t, and in this case we got the current as Im sin omega t minus pi by 2. So, again this can sin omega t minus pi by 2 can be written as minus cos omega t. So, it will be minus Vm Im sin omega t cos omega t. So, if we do some mathematical manipulation, that if we multiply it, the numerator and denominator by 2, so it will become 2 sin a cos a. So, that will be equal to sin 2a. So, it will become Vm Im by 2 sin 2 omega t. So, again if we find out the average power over a complete cycle, so it will come out to be equal to 0. So, hence we can say that for a purely inductive circuit, the average power consumed over a complete cycle will be equal to 0. So, same thing it can be represented by the waveform also. So, you can see here in the first figure, I have drawn the voltage and current waveforms, where this current is lagging the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. Now, we know that power is the instantaneous product. So, if we multiply all the instantaneous value of voltage and current, let us consider the first quarter cycle. In the first quarter cycle, from 0 to pi by 2, your voltage is positive and the current is negative. So, the power is negative, that is why it is in the fourth quadrant. In the second quarter cycle, that means from pi by 2 to pi, now both becomes positive. So, the power, net power becomes positive. In the third quarter cycle, your current is still positive, now voltage become negative, that is why the power will be negative. In the last quarter cycle, it will be both the voltage and current are now negative. So, again the power becomes positive. So, if you consider the power over a complete cycle, that means from 0 to 2 pi, you will find that you have 2 positive halves and 2 negative halves. So, the average of all these 4, it will come out to be equal to 0. Hence, we can conclude that in case of purely inductive circuit, the power consumed will be equal to 0 over a complete cycle. Now, let us try to solve one problem related to this. A pure inductive coil allows a current of 10 ampere to flow from 230 volt 50 hertz supply. Find the inductive inductance of the coil, power absorbed, write down the equation for voltage and current. So, in this case, I will be equal to V by XL. So, XL will be equal to V by I. So, both voltage and current are given to us. So, inductive reactance is 23 ohm. Now, we know that XL is equal to 2 pi FL. So, using this formula, L will be equal to 0.073 Henry, or we can say 73 millihenry. And the power absorbed, we know that in case of purely inductive circuit, it is equal to 0. And the last is write down the equation for voltage and current. So, again convert this 230 volt and 10 ampere into maximum value. So, Vm will be equal to 230 into root 2, and similarly Im will be equal to 10 into root 2. So, we can write down the expression for voltage and current. Now, coming to the third, that is third element is capacitance. So, we will see how the circuit behaves for a purely capacitive circuit. Now, again AC voltage, if it is applied to a capacitor, so in this particular case, again the current will start to flow as the capacitor will start to charge. So, this particular current in this particular case will be equal to dq by dt. We know that current is the rate of flow of charge. So, we know that this charge q, it will be equal to C into V. So, where V is the supply voltage and it is represented by Vm sin omega t. Now, here again you can see here when this current is equal to I dq by dt. So, Q can be replaced by C into V, where C is the capacitance. So, as we know that it is constant, so we can take this capacitance outside. So, capacitance will come outside. Again Vm, that is the amplitude of the voltage waveform, it is constant. So, Vm will come outside. So, simply we will differentiate this sin omega t with respect to time. So, if we differentiate this, we will find that omega will come outside. So, it will become omega c Vm, and the differentiation for sin omega t will be cos omega t. So, we can write down I equal to omega c Vm sin omega t plus pi by 2, because we know that cos omega t is equal to sin omega t plus pi by 2. So, this is the second equation. Now, from this again we have a very important observation, that in case of purely capacitive circuit, the current it leads the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. So, as you can see in the phasor diagram, now the current is leading the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. So, again when this particular value of current will become maximum, when this omega t it will be equal to 0. So, this sin quantity will become equal to sin pi by 2. So, that sin pi by 2 will be again equal to unity. So, that will be the maximum value of the current. So, Im will be equal to omega c Vm. Now, if I replace this particular Im in the above expression, that is equation 2. So, I will get it as I equal to Im sin omega t plus pi by 2. So, again you can see here in this expression, your current it is leading the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. Now, coming to the power for this, again we know that power is the instantaneous product of voltage and current. So, voltage expression is Vm sin omega t and current expression is Im sin omega t plus pi by 2. So, again we know that sin omega t plus pi by 2 it is cos omega t. So, we have written Vm Im sin omega t cos omega t. So, power is equal to Vm Im by 2 sin 2 omega t. Again we have done the mathematical manipulation, that means we have multiplied and divide the above expression by 2. So, again 2 sin a cos a will become equal to sin 2a divided by 2. So, we got the expression for power as Vm Im by 2 sin 2 omega t. Now, again we know power is a scalar quantity and it is taken for a complete cycle. So, if we again find out the average value of this quantity over a complete cycle, so it will come out to be equal to 0. That means, again we can conclude that the power absorbed in a purely capacitive circuit, it is again equal to 0. Now, again this thing can be verified using the waveform also. So, again in the first figure you can see this current it is leading the voltage by an angle of pi by 2. So, in this particular case, if we consider the first quarter cycle, that is from 0 to pi by 2. So, in this quarter cycle, if we take the product of voltage and current, both are positive. So, in the first quarter cycle you can see from 0 to pi by 2 the power is positive. In the next quarter cycle from pi by 2 to pi, now your voltage is still positive, but the current has become negative. That is why the power will be negative. In the next quarter cycle, both voltage and current becomes negative, hence the power will again become positive. And in the next quarter cycle, your voltage is still negative, but your current is positive, that is why the power is negative. So, again if we find out the average value of power from 0 to pi, you will find there are 2 positive half and there are 2 negative half. So, the net power will be equal to 0. Now, again we will try to solve one numerical related to this. A 318 microfarad capacitor is connected across 230 volt 50 hertz supply. Determine the capacitive reactance, RMS value of current and equation for voltage and current. So, capacitive reactance, we know that Xc is equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. So, frequency is given to us as 50 hertz and the capacitance, it is 318 microfarad. So, we know that it is 318 into 10 to power minus 6. So, 10 to power minus 6, if you take it in the numerator, it will become 10 to power plus 6. So, capacitive reactance comes out to be equal to 10 ohm. RMS value of current, in this case I will be equal to V by Xc because the resistance is 0. So, 230 divided by this 10 ohm, that will be the current that will be flowing in the circuit. Now, power, again in this case the power will be equal to 0 and the equation for voltage and current, again we know that V equal to Vm sin omega t and I equal to Im sin omega t plus pi by 2. So, again we will find out the value of Vm, that is 230 root 2, it comes out to be equal to 325.27 volt and Im comes out to be equal to root 2 into 23, that is 32.53 ampere. So, omega again it will be equal to 2 pi f, so it is 340. Now, we can write down the expression for voltage and current, V equal to 325.27 sin 3140 and I equal to 32.53 sin 314 t plus pi by 2. So, in this way we have studied how the circuit will behave and how to find out the different parameters for purely resistive, purely inductive and purely capacitive circuit. Thank you.